starting a new chapter, going down a new path in life. And a big bulk of it has to do with related to career, which for me is like doing work related to my life purpose, money, and love and relationships. And really, it's like this personal journey. I kind of like to describe it more as I'm installing a new operating system in terms of consciousness and how I make decisions in the world, and related specifically to those three areas that I just mentioned. And here's what's happening. So, like many of you during the pandemic, right, we had a lot of time to think about like our life, where we're at, where we're going, where we want to be, and like, 3, 5, 10 years from now, right? And, for me, that involved a lot of like personal growth, personal introspection, and, really finding myself in a place where I can no longer stand things, right? So you get to the point in your life where you're like, you're not happy with things, but it's not bad enough that you are actually motivated to actually make change. You get in this low key kind of like sadness, frustration, depression, like, okay, I don't like things, but at the same point you're not motivated to actually go do something. For me, in some areas of my life, I'm now at the point where like, okay, I literally can't stand it anymore. Okay, I'm now motivated. I now want things. I need things to change because I want them to. Because for a long time I was just living in a certain way that just, served me for a while. But now that part is over. And a big part of that was, well, I'll get into that a little later. So let me get into this first. Okay, so basically when I say that I am installing a new operating system of consciousness, one of the things that I had a huge aha moment this year was realizing that I don't know what my identity, my place is outside of the white male patriarchy. So it just dawned on me, like I just got clarity this year that how much of my identity and how much of my life and life decisions was centered around trying to fit in, trying to get ahead, and trying to get accepted in the white male patriarchy, right? And this is like, I spent almost 20 years in Silicon Valley, just, which was overall like a tough and frustrating and miserable experience. Okay, I mean, I did learn a lot. I am very grateful for my experience, but if I had to rate it on, what I went through and the level of exploitation, abuse, I mean, literal, assault, the health issues that I experienced because of all these things, and just countless stuff, right? It just was, just horrible. I'm just gonna be blunt. It was horrible. But at the same time, I learned an enormous amount about myself, my ability to be tenacious, resilient, to still get up no matter how much I was knocked down, to be able to see things for what they really are and take them less personally, even if I don't like it and I hate it and things that I think it sucks. It's really good. It was a good learning lesson to see, okay, how does this system, like how does the tech industry, how does Silicon Valley as a culture, like how does all of that work and operate, right? So huge learning experience from that, right? And ultimately I came out with knowing that, yeah, I just don't belong there anymore, and going through all of that is just not worth it anymore. But so now, fast forward to this past year, and I realize, like, wow, I have spent so much of my life trying to fit in, trying to get ahead, trying to be accepted in the white male patriarchy, and I don't know who I am outside of that. And on related to that, so think, going deeper into realizing that, I also have realized that I have made the center of my life, the thing that, like, I've made decisions around, the center of my life has been trauma. Like the trauma I experienced in my corporate career, the trauma I've experienced in past relationships, the trauma I've experienced with friends, with money, with, all kinds of things. And specifically, a very traumatic event that happened to me in 2015, where I was, physically beaten and assaulted randomly. And that experience, and it was a hate crime. It was, she just, this woman just randomly started beating me, and screaming, bitch, go back to your country. And I that traumatic experience broke me in much deeper ways than I hadn't realized until the past like couple years or so. Particularly, it took huge hits to my confidence and my ability to feel safe in the world. And so particularly in the areas of money and work and love and relationships, I have realized like how much my decisions have been centered around trauma. Like, for example, how many of us have been through the situation where we have built our whole life, like as women, we built our whole life around a man, right? Or a relationship. Like everything that had to do was like getting a relationship, staying in a relationship. What did that person want, and just building your whole world around it. So in my case, I built my whole world around my trauma. And what would appease the trauma? What does the trauma want? What do I have to do to avoid trauma? Like all this stuff, and that has impacted major areas in my life, particularly around money and relationships. That again served a purpose for a while, but now going forward, I just I don't want to live like that anymore. Like I can't live like that anymore. I have there's a lot of work that I want to do to help serve in the world, and as many of you know, a lot of my focus now is related to climate action and environmental justice and animal rights, right? Healthiness for all, people, animals, and planet. And and it's a perfect space for me, right? It actually encompasses stuff I've been working on for years, and I can use all my talents and skills related to this. What has been holding me back still is that, and again, which I'm grateful to have now great clarity on, is I've been hesitant in doing things because, again, I realize I've been centering it around trauma. So with the new consciousness, the new path that I'm doing now, I'm now going to center things around being in alignment with my true self that brings me my highest joys. Like, I will focus my time on doing things that make me joyful, that make me excited to get out of bed, that are related to my purpose, right? Where I feel fulfilled. And again, it's not always about like, oh, well, I'm only going to do the stuff that feels good. Or let me say that, like, I'm not going to do things that don't make me feel good like every day, right? There's a difference between like avoiding pain and realizing that, okay, the tough and challenging things are part of this bigger picture that still falls in alignment with what you're doing, right? Like I fully believe, like I'm fully committed to climate action, and it's not easy because you're going up against the establishment, you're going up against, big fossil fuels, special interests, billionaires, like all of it. Like it's not an easy thing, right? But every day I feel a sense of purpose, and I feel joy. in doing this work and being a part of the movement and meeting new people and having new experiences and doing new things. Like even going on TikTok, it's been like this new experience. And it's been great, right? So this is part of my thing where I'm I won't say I'm starting over because it's not, I'm not starting from scratch. What I'm basically doing is actually leveling up from where I was before. And starting with, again, this new outlook on life, right? This new consciousness where the center of my life and decisions is based on alignment with my true self and my highest joys, right? Where I put myself vibrationally, you know, on the high flying disc where we're operating at unity consciousness, the higher good of all, what makes me happy and joyful and feel fulfilled and purposeful. Like that's like vibrating up here. Like I've spent a lot of time, operating at lower frequencies, right? Which is why online you don't see, I don't get involved with like Twitter feuds or drama or any of that stuff, because unless it's related to solutions, I'm like, I don't have time for that. Mainly because I just don't want that energy in my space, and it doesn't serve me well. And it's not in alignment with my true self and my highest joy. So that's where I'm going to stay focused on. So anyway, I'm sharing this because no doubt there are some of you who are also on a similar journey or want to be on a similar path. And so I'm going to share my experiences, sharing the personal side along with all the activist work that I've been doing. And because also too, the more the merrier. I'm open to suggestions. If you're in the same boat, like let me know. Like let's do a community. Let's we're not alone. Let's have other people like join in, and I'm happy to help be a support system and cheering section. Even though we're strangers on the internet, we're meeting. Whatever. I don't know, right? But this is what I love about social media. Is meeting kindred spirits and other people who are on a similar journey. So thanks for your time. I don't have a plan. We're just gonna see what happens as we go. So stay tuned.